right, good morning, everyone. If you'll come on in and find a place to be seated, we'll get started with the Fall 22 opening meeting. For those of you perhaps that we haven't met, I am Steve Turner, the president of Northeastern State University. It's an honor, a privilege, a joy to be with you today. I am excited about the start of the new year. It's always wonderful to see the parking lots filling up. And as I told a group of students last night and some of the new faculty yesterday, was inspiring to watch so many people helping others by helping them move in. So it's been a good start. We look forward to that. I do want to say thank you to those that will have to watch this opening meeting by recording. We do have a lot of employees that are needing to be in their duty station because they're having direct services to students this morning. So let's applaud those that are out there working and have to do this and thank them. Right. And as I mentioned, we always record this meeting. It will be, it'll meet all of the ADA requirements. It'll be posted. So if there's something you want to go back and review or someone could not attend today, it will be available. And Annika in my office will make sure that that goes out. Whereas Annika is kind of the coordinator, make sure we get all this together. So Annika, Stan, Annika Anderson, let's say thank you to Annika. For those of you that know us well, this is my 11th fall meeting at NSU, and usually at this time I introduce my wife, Penny. Penny's mother is 84. She took a terrible fall last week, was hospitalized, and today they're moving her to assisted living. So it's a tough time. So if you would keep Penny, and her mom's name is Alberta, if you would keep them in your thoughts and prayers, we would appreciate that. And I assure you, she is sad that she's having to miss today. So she can't be here, but thank you for that. I do want to shift here to the School Pride card donation. You came in this morning, you had breakfast, coffee and water and everything. And once again this year, those were all sponsored by our partners at the Tulsa Teachers Federal Credit Union. And so since they started, or we launched the School Pride card program, NSU has received $138,000 for private scholarship. Let's thank our sponsor for the breakfast and their cumulative donation right now. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, TTCU. And with us today, we have Mr. Jacob Barnett. He is the VP of Branch Operations, and he's here to present another check. So come on down, Jacob. Let's welcome Jacob. Have any comments? Or
this is the best welcome I've had in a long time. So I thank you guys for being here, and I hope you have a great school year.
Another $7,000. Peggy, I can't roll this one up in my pocket. So. Thanks again to TTCU. What a good start. We do have, in part of my responsibility, I have 10 direct reports. Beyond the vice presidents, I have the athletic director. We have, with Mr. Cochran's retirement, we have a new athletic director, Mr. John Sizemore. John, I think you're over here. Would you stand, please? And everybody wave and welcome John Sizemore. A very successful coach, one of 3 programs in the junior college world that was fully self-funded, and he comes to us from Neosho, Missouri, Crowder College. So John, welcome. We're so glad that you're here. For those of you also that know us, a lot of you know Lily, but you don't know the other guy. Lily, our furry, four-legged friend of 10 years, passed away in April due to lymphoma. Came on very quickly, very aggressively. But now we have Bentley. You can see Bentley. So Bentley's a Cavapoo. I don't know. He loves everybody. Lily would bite everybody. So I don't know. Christy, he loves you, right? even when we're not there. So if you see a little guy like that wandering around, that he belongs at the president's house. Here are the two highlights of our life. Can you imagine? Can you believe that Connor turned 5 in May and Chloe is now 7 months old? So, yeah. If you want a reason to live and to be happy, get grandkids. So, and if you want to know what that means, I'll see if I can rent you a couple. I'm going to jump into the official stuff now. In June, I sent you a budget update. I'm not going to go all of the details, but let me highlight some things very quickly for you. We did receive this year really about $1 million in new funding, of which 518,000 were undesignated. Last year, we received $755,000 in new funding, but only $300,000 was undesignated. We also had mandatory cost increases this year of, Christy, what were those? 600,000, approximately 600,000. So the 518 didn't cover the mandatory cost increases, of which much of that was the faculty salary card and health insurance. And Christy will talk a lot more about that. Within the other part of the 999, whatever, the 480,000 of that is what we call at-risk money. Let me help you understand what that means. The state regents staff took the 100 critical occupations. Oh, let me back up. I probably will say some things today that you're going to have questions about. Dr. Landry and I will be going around to the colleges later today. So please jot down your questions and I'll do my best to answer them. This isn't a Q&A time, but I do want you to understand. So we took the 100, they took the 100 critical occupations, of which 66 in Oklahoma, of which 66 require at least 1 degree. They took the zip codes of those classification in the instructional program. They took those and broke it down to about 41 areas. And no, actually, yeah, 41 areas. And then they went over and said, okay, which institutions have something like this? They took the credit hour production in those disciplines, those 44 at the institutions over the last 3 years. So we received 400, let's just say $500,000 that's at risk, because in April of 2025, they're going to look at degree production. Faculty, this is the equivalent of performance-based funding. They're basically saying we're giving you 500,000 because this is where you are. You have to increase, and then they're going to convert it in 2025 about degree production. And let's say that we have an increase of 3%. And other institutions have an increase on average of 8%. They will take part of our money and give it to the other institutions. So it is at risk. It is a bigger scope. It wasn't just teacher, nursing, and engineering. It was spread out into cybersecurity. It was spread out into some accounting programs. So it's a bigger spread. It's not the 3, but please understand this can go away. And so we have to produce. So that's a big part of it. Next, we get into, there's the mandatory costs. I said 600,000, so we're okay. We also have about $10.1 million still in this year's budget of higher education emergency relief funds. There's a breakdown of where that's going. We will expend all of those funds this year. We will exceed the deadline for spending those funds. And as you can see, those dollars now are mostly to take care of facilities where seminary hall that you don't have windows that can open, so forth and so on, and technology. There's also in there $2 million of cash that's built into the budget was designed as recurring revenue to invest in the salaries at Northeastern State. I'm not going to read this. The cabinet has been working since December to start doing an upgrade on evaluating every position description within their division, making sure that the zip code, the right code is applied to that. If it's not, to apply the right program that will then generate based on the same cohort we used in 2012. We'll go back and say, okay, where are the salaries? We'll look at the gaps. I believe that will be finished by September 1st. That is the plan. I do need you to look at the bottom line. There's $2 million built into the budget, but we have to meet the revenue projections. We have to meet the revenue projections. So this is critical. We are not, let me say it clearly. Our salaries are not keeping up. They're not keeping up across the institution. We get it. But we also, if I were to go back and if I look since 2016, and I looked at our enrollment, if we were at flat enrollment with 2016, we would have $9 million more in revenue right now. If I go back and I said, if our state appropriation were flat to where we were in 2016, we'd have a little more than $9 million. The combination of both of those is $18 million. We're operating on $18 million less right now, the combination of those two revenue streams than we did in 2016. And we're not alone. That we're NSU. We'll get through this. We'll do it together. I'm going to go on, but optometry, very fortunate. This is a project. I know some of the folks are here. I'm not going to call them out. Very fortunate. This is something we started on in June of 2016 to replace a 1936 hospital that was abandoned. And now finally on the 22nd, we Senate Bill 8XX, the two X's, because it's the second extraordinary session. We received the last $15 million. And notice the highlight though. We need to continue. We really need a little more than $1 million in private funds to reduce the bond debt. So we are not out of the fundraising. Don't think just because we received the money from the state. It's $33 million, $357,000. We still need a little more than $1 million in private funds, but we're going to make it happen. But please, if you're interested in investing in a major project, please help us there. Now, look, here's the revised documents for the timeline of construction. The bid documents will go out in March. We will select the contractor. April 1st, the work begins. It'll take 24 months, and then April 1st, we'll have a certificate of occupancy. In other words, we can move in the building. This is an exciting project, folks. So thank everyone that's been involved. Let's go on. Peggy, we had another banner year, and because it's a calendar year in 2021, set a new record, $1,028,000 in private dollars for scholarship. So I think that's worthy of applause. So thank our donors. There are donors here in the room. Okay. This is a book. I always share books with you. I shared this with the count. I just was teaching at a new President's Academy, the ISBN number, but it's basically the Great Upheaval. I had the opportunity to sit and visit with Arthur Levine about his book, and certainly Scott Van Pelt, but I met with Art, and he had these comments to make. He says, older students don't want to pay for activities, services, staff, buildings, and stuff that they won't use. They're asking for a stripped down version of higher education and are prime candidates for consumer-oriented, any place, anytime education. I believe the last count I looked, there are 50,000 education providers in the United States of all sorts, including corporations. And he says that the literature out there falls in two buckets. You have the adaptive bucket and the disruptive bucket. He would tell you that he doesn't know where higher ed will go in the near future, but and it could be a combination of both of those, but he's hopeful that somehow what we've done in COVID, that more likely could be in the adaptive bucket, because we made significant changes. And what happened? There's a recovery. Why is the public pushing for and legislature pushing for change? COVID-19 criticisms of higher education, performance and worse, student debt, access and graduations are too low, digital technology, demands for greater accountability and completion. So these read the book. I don't want to take it out of context because he does provide some hope. He does say that institutions, regional institutions can really, if they'll focus on their niche, and he said there could also be some great improvements on those in the residential life. So there is some hope for all of us as long as we do the right things. Here's what he says: institutional control of higher ed will decrease, and the power of higher education consume or decrease, it will increase. Near universal access, students want the same thing that they get from music, movie, and newspaper industries. By the way, he does a case study on all three of those, and if you want to see a transformation, it's pretty remarkable. So that's part of the point there. He says new content producers, distributors will enter the market. Why? To drive the costs down of higher education. I want you to see the second in the red especially. He does a phenomenal job talking about what he calls just-in-case education and just-in-time education. You and I were raised, and well, I know those of you that are somewhere between 40 and 50 like me, right? We were raised that you get it, education is the key. You need it, you fall back on it. So it's just in case. I'm going to do this because I will always, you can't take, how many of you, you heard someone say, you can't take education away from you. So we believed and we bought in just in case education. Now he says that we're moving to just in time education. I need this certificate or this credential now because I need this job. And so I hope you'll look at the literature and do that. Look at what he says, though, on number one. And this is a little different because I've mentioned to you the Agile College. I've talked about Nathan Grawl, but look what he says. Oklahoma is projected to see increases of 15%, perhaps, of high school graduates, people moving in, things like that. So I don't know if that's true. That's a little inconsistent. I just thought, but look what's going to happen in the Northeast. Northeast will see a decline of high school graduates of 6%. And this is by 2027, Midwest 3%. However, the South could see an increase of 16% and the West 3%. People are moving away. So, and then what he says, look at the economy, technology. So I really like item 5. I don't like it, but it makes sense. I am a baby boomer. I guess that tells you I'm older than 40 and 50, I guess. Shouldn't have said that. But those of us in that group have changed America all the way through. Public schools had to expand after World War II because of all the babies. Then higher education had to expand. And now we're about to see healthcare expand. Most of the cost of healthcare in your life occur in the last 24 months of your life. And he does a good job by saying, okay, K through 12 will be protected but healthcare of the baby boomers, longer life is going to create greater competition for dollars from the state. And K through 12 will be protected. Higher ed does not share the same protection. So I hope you'll read the book. It's not an all downer. There's some optimistic things, and he is old school like me, I assure you. I always talk about state and federal themes. One that I find very interested, especially I want to go to the state side first, is the revenue. You know, some of the sociologists or economists would say rapidly gained wealth is as detrimental as suddenly gained poverty. If you look at what just happened in the state of Oklahoma, we brought in almost $2 billion in cash more than the projections for the entire year. You had the Panasonic program that had $700 million allocated to it. That's not going to happen. Where is that money going to go? So what are we going to do? How are they going to distribute the revenue? We might talk a little bit about free speech, but there were some new laws that we're in compliance with. Equivalent of performance-based funding. I've already talked about that, but here's one that's interesting. There will be a new strategic plan through the Oklahoma State Regents for higher education by the end of December. And so we're going to be watching for that. I'm on the concurrent enrollment task force. We have to have a report to the governor, the pro tem, the House Speaker by December 1st. So We'll see what comes of that. I'm not at a place yet that I can share too much information, but let me just say NSU has more restrictions about where we can offer concurrent enrollment unless it's online than anyone. So that's out there. Midterm elections. What about the federal themes? Dr. Landry, Dr. Fly, others could talk about credentials, moving to an outcome-based period, regulations, Supreme Court, DOL overtime regulations, FLSA, who's exempt, non-exempt. That's a biggie right now. Extraordinary partisanship, and then once again, midterm elections. I want to say something here also talking about, I sent this letter out on July 15th. This is a simple reflection of an enormous amount of work by so many people to work and create documents and a path forward for 16 separate initiatives. So if you're one of the people that served on any part of the drafting and getting the points of the retention priority, would you stand and let's say thank you? And if you haven't seen it, I know some of you might have been on vacation, make sure you do. So if you helped with the retention priorities, please stand real fast. Oh, come on, it's okay. Let's thank you. You know, folks, we could have a 10% increase in the freshman class and we get 80 students. What happens if we have a 10% drop in retention? Much bigger. So please embrace those and go. Over 2 years ago, in anticipation of the strategic plan, Dr. Keller and I began to work together. And within that, I also, as I did now more than 10 years ago, I got the student workers in my office to help me. We selected 50 institutions across the United States with similar characteristics. These institutions were ASCU partners, the American Association of State Colleges and Universities. So I need to shout out, and they're not here, but Brenda Wilson, Mackenzie Lane, and Haley Bale for their work. And certainly Robin and Annika had a role, but those 3 students worked with me. And we did word clouds by looking at those 50. And if I had time, I would show you over 10 years ago and how it's changed now. Because now you're looking at sustainability. It's very interesting. And so there'll be more discussion about the strategic plan, but these are very informative. Integrity, you can see excellence. What's the biggies on the vision? Community, what else? Innovation, excellence, learning. So get ready. You're going to in the spring, or you're going to be involved in the fall. You're going to get a lot more. Okay, what do you see here? I'm about to wrap up. What do you see? Speak up. What are these photos about? What? Convenience. So how many of you used or have used curbside pickup? Raise your hand, please. How many continue to use curbside pickup? So if you look, I still get all my groceries, well, Penny does, at Reese's through curbside pickup. She won't let me go in the store because I can't get out. Here's Lowe's. You go to Lowe's. Here's the library. Go to the right. Walmart. So we know that this was the new and expected levels of service brought on by COVID-19, and it's here to stay. Why? Because people love it, and now they expect it. In fiscal year 2023, you have to ask yourselves, we have to ask ourselves these questions. What is NSU's equivalent of curbside service? In your area, how can you improve service? The expectations have changed. We have to change to meet them. With that, here's the order. So it is now my privilege to invite Dr. Debbie Landry, the Provost Vice President of Academic Affairs, to come up and share comments. I'll come back at the end. We will be out by no later than 11 o'clock for the coin walk. So Dr. Landry, good morning. Thank you.
Thank you, President Turner. I guess the clock is ticking, so I will get right to it as soon as I remember to click my slides. So yesterday, President Turner mentioned we were with new faculty yesterday. So exciting to see the energy, new staff. We even had a few adjuncts there, and it's just exciting. The first days of the opening of the semester of the year, moving students into the dorm. It was an exciting day. And I wanted to introduce some of those new faculty to you if they're here today. I'm going to read the names on the slide. And as I call your name, if you don't mind standing up, and then we'll hold our applause to the end. For the College of Business and Technology, Dr. Lachey McNack, Dr. Rick Wallace, Brian Vickers, Dr. Athena Wooldridge. College of Education, Chelsea Boland, Caleb Demarius, Dr. Sarah Haas, Dr. Heidi Jenkins, Jennifer Minton, Dr. Kate Schwartz, Dr. Fariba Eshami, Dr. Tamara Day, Dr. Christine Gleason, Dr. Eva Harkness, Dr. Brandy McCombs, Dr. Hannah Russ, Dr. Amanda Stuckey in the College of Liberal Arts, Dr. Joseph Bellow, Dr. Amanda Johnson, Dr. Jeremy Miller, Dr. Lindsay Silver, Dr. Mike Cameron, Dr. Alex Cole, Amber Margaret, Jack Rivas, and Captain Brent Welch. Welcome. Next, in the Greg Wadley College of Science and Health Professions, Dr. Elizabeth Burba, Dr. Joanna Cupp, Emily Jensky, Dr. Claudia Mitchell, Jamie Myers, Dr. Tushandra Thomas, Tara Ottenbacher, Lindsay Crouch, Dr. Helen Farrar, Laura Malov, Jamie Morris, Dr. Praxdidia Taruwinga, Dr. Daniel Scott Wingard, Kelly Gilchrist, Oklahoma College of Optometry, Dr. Bailey Moles, Dr. Janet Naguib, Dr. Courtney Simon, Dr. Hannah Munyon, Dr. Komal Patel, and from the library, Jodina Brown. Welcome. There we go. So earlier in April, we did recognize at our employee celebration and recognition event, those that had attained college tenure and promotion. And certainly it's worthy of the work that's invested to recognize those folks again. So it's hard work. We're proud of you all. And again, I will call the names that's presented on the slide if you'll stand, and then we'll acknowledge them all at the end. From the College of Business and Technology, Dr. Mitch Ricketts. From the College of Education, Dr. Lisa Bisogno, Dr. Megan Moreland, Dr. Chad Stengel, and Dr. Christy Reed. Congratulations. From the College of Liberal Arts and the Greg Wadley College of Science and Health Professions, Dr. Tiffany Hardbarger, Dr. Sapna Das Pradue, Dr. Victor Zhu, Dr. Nathan Green, Dr. Janake Iyer, Dr. Carl Kruzak, and Dr. Carla Swearingen. Congratulations. And certainly not last or least at all, from the Oklahoma College of Optometry, Dr. Tara Brown, Dr. Spencer Johnson, Dr. Nate Lighthizer, Dr. Jonathan Jansen, Dr. Carolyn Major, and Dr. Pamela Lauterbach from the library. Congratulations. Again, that represents a lot of work in preparing those portfolios, and my thanks to the deans and department chairs that help them, mentor them, and get them to where they are today. And we also have some folks that completed a degree in spite of everything else they were doing, teaching, learning, preparing, completed their doctorate. So those are all in the College of Education, unless we missed someone, which I hope we did not. Dr. Dee Gerlach, Dr. Tanya Garrett, and Chad Stengel. Congratulations. So moving on to the library, I know that we have a few new hires and also some folks internally that are in new roles. Some new hires are Kathy Porto. She is a new Access Service Assistant. Marshall Van Winkle and Jodina Brown, as I mentioned, and we've transitioned Dalton Martin and Brandon Martin into new roles at the library. So congratulations to all of you. And if you haven't been, especially on the third floor, to look at those new spaces that can be reserved, they're wonderful. So those are collaborative spaces. There's movable furniture in there. There are whiteboards. So they're great places for students to get together in focus groups. They can be reserved, I believe, online. And thanks to Dr. Jones and his group for thinking of those and getting them all together. Another thing that we've been busy doing over the last year are proposing and submitting a lot of new certificates and a few new degrees. I'm going to not read all of the certificates. There's several there. I'll just let you look at those, but I do want to point out two new exciting programs. We have a new master's in public relations in the College of Liberal Arts. We also, within the Greg Wadley College of Science and Health Professions, have a new bachelor's of mechanical engineering. So congratulations to all of you involved with writing curriculum, proposing curriculum, and getting it through. We've talked about Civitas, and those of you new, that is the data analytics program that we have that helps us nudge students, keep on track of students that might need help. President Turner mentioned how important retention is. So this is a tool that helps us with retention. So a year ago, we discovered that the very students that need the outreach the most are the least likely to reach out to us. I'm sure that's probably not a surprise, but we wanted to be intentional and do something to help encourage those students that needed help in having some interaction, having some outreach, and also to measure what those results were like. So a pilot group of our academic advisors used Civitas just in this last spring semester to look at enrolled students that indicated through our analysis that they might need some extra outreach or help. And so they did some more frequent check-ins, found ways to text them. And if you pull out your phone and use your camera app, you can scan the report. It's there to see in detail what happened, but I'll kind of summarize what this small group, what the results were and how important this is to apply this across the campus. So we had a persistence lift of 1.7% that represented 35 students that were retained that probably would not have come back to us. That represents, if you translate that to tuition revenue, just over $80,000. So we want all of our advisors will be adopting that this year. We want to be able to help faculty mentors utilize this tool as well. So working through department chairs, we will be showing you how to do that to more access to the dashboard that Civitas has. So I encourage you to look at the success story. You can scan the QR code, or you can visit with our NSU retention specialist or the academic advisor within your college to see how you can help with the use of Civitas and especially faculty as you reach out to your faculty mentees. We all love assessment. We like to know, make sure that our outcomes are being measured and are effective, that are in place. So we want to point out that those reports where we talk about those outcomes and the analysis of them and the review of them, more importantly, are due on September 15th, and we still are using Anthology to collect the data. So if you're responsible for submitting a report, you'll get a nice little email from the team there to remind you of that. But anyone that may have a question about anything to do with assessment, maybe you're just you're new faculty and then you need some help there in that area for assessing the outcomes in your class, feel free to reach out to the assessment team. There are a lot of resources there on the academic assessment website that can help you with that. So don't hesitate to use their resources. Now, yesterday we had the Center for Teaching and Learning helping with our new faculty orientation. Certainly tomorrow with Community and Collaboration Day. There'll be a lot going on, but with all that, they have a new space over on the 3rd floor of the library, of the John Vaughn Library. And we've had a soft opening. Unfortunately, it was right after the beginning of the semester break, after the holiday, and maybe the weather wasn't so good. So you may not have had a chance to come on over and check it out, but it is amazing. Even if it's a little rainy later this afternoon after your college meeting or your division meeting, you might want to go check out how that looks now. Certainly the CTL staff work very hard. They'd love to be able to help you throughout this academic year. So check out their new resources that they have there in place, conveniently located in the library. And that is designed intentionally to get faculty and students together and other staff members in one space to be able to collaborate. And speaking of Community and Collaboration Day, if you have not yet registered, again, we have a handy QR code. You can take your phone out, scan, sign up. We want to make sure we have enough hot dogs. I don't think we're having hot dogs, but we have enough lunch for you tomorrow. I want to point out it is on the Broken Arrow campus on August 10th from 9 to 4. So that QR code will take you directly to the form. So there'll be a lot of interaction, a lot of presentations. Probably the problem you'll have is which one do I pick, because there's so many things on there on the schedule that I want to attend. So please come for that reason, come for the collaboration with others. It'll be nice to see everyone again. Just a reminder about faculty success, formerly known as digital measures. This is where faculty, can upload current information, academic information for your portfolio. It feeds directly to the directory, so you get a web profile built from that. So I just wanted to remind you all to continue. I know it's difficult sometimes, but as you make those presentations or submit those manuscripts, make sure that you update accordingly your faculty success. Also, your course evaluations are available there. Where one of the retention initiatives that President Turner touched on, the 16, one of those was increasing the number of surveys that students complete. And through that retention effort, you will see a lot of different messaging. You will see some different ways that we can collect those student surveys to help better inform you, the faculty member, department chairs, in understanding what is working with our students, what might be something else that we could consider. So those are all helpful, and they are all part of the RN watermark. And we really want to improve those response rates. We've noticed this summer, our efforts have paid off. So I don't think I have those exact rates, but they've gone up quite a bit. I think around 9 or 10% just this summer. So we're looking forward to that better yield on our response rates. Going back to curriculum, I just wanted to share how much work, even though we saw all those certificates that were completed, a couple of new programs were approved, still doesn't represent all of the work that goes in, because sometimes, especially for accreditation purposes, we have to change our curriculum. There might be a particular outcome we need to capture in a class. So all of that is reflected in looking at the activity level that is in curriculum. So 243 total programs, proposals last year. It does take a while to process all of those through. So I know many of you will be meeting. Some of you have met over the summer. We have curriculum meetings set up for this fall. It takes about a year for those efforts to make it all the way through. Sometimes if they have to have not only our Russo board approval, but OSHRI approval, it does take a while for that all to happen. So I appreciate the work, that we should never let that stop us from moving forward and affecting change. Again, just to kind of refresh you, most of you have heard me talk before about in the Tulsa area, the transfer collaborations that we are a part of. We certainly value all of our 2-year partners across the state, but in the Tulsa area, we have been very involved for a number of years with the Transfer Equity Initiative with TCC. This last year, there's a grant we've been a part of that is not only TCC and NSU, but also OSU. So within that group, there have been a lot of meetings with faculty from all three institutions, registrar people from all three institutions, marketing people. So just collaborating in a non-competitive sharing way. The purpose, the focus is to increase degrees in the Tulsa area. So we're still a part of that. The programs that we had were elementary ed, cell and molecular biology, and supply chain management. So we weren't actually directly competing with anyone. We had in that grant separate programs that we were focused on. There have also been several recruitment events tied to that. Outside of that, we still have the Tulsa Higher Ed Consortium. So that is an effort to improve all degrees, not just the three I mentioned, and to increase, again, the higher education outcomes in the region. There is a website for it. So if you want to learn more about that, you can find that there. Also, we have Transfer Week this year is October 17th through the 21st. Last but not least, our specialty accreditations. My goodness, last year was busy. You can see represented there all of the successful ones that we had. We had educator preparation, CAPE was here, NACLS, MedLab Science, Ascend for nutritional science, music, NASM was here, ACOE for optometry, and then ASHA for speech language pathology. I think that's the most recent one. Congratulations, all that hard work. Coming ahead, we have only three, but those are three really big ones we have coming up. We've got KCREP coming for counseling, occupational therapy. We've got ACOT, and then PA is coming very soon, just in a few weeks, for physician assistants. So I know lots of folks have been working hard to get ready. We see the self-studies come through. They're usually about this thick. Thank you for all of you involved with specialty accreditation. And with that, again, we will be going around. If you have questions of any of thing I've talked about, or questions that come to mind about the retention initiatives, we'll be going around to the colleges later. But I hope you all have time to focus on the best things in life, which are family as well. And so I want to share my grandkids. I still only have 6, but they are growing quickly. So you have to capture every moment. 2 are teenagers now. It's just scary. It's scary when my kids were teenagers, but anyway. Next, I'd like to welcome Dr. Carrie Keller to the stage. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. All righty. Most of you know that our strategic plan, our current strategic plan, and our current enrollment plan, Destination 2023, will sunset this coming June. And as Dr. Turner mentioned, we're in the process of beginning to develop our new strategic plan. And so for the last semester, myself and a team of superstars, Dr. Kimberly Williams from Academic Affairs, Dr. Kelly Jo Larson from Student Affairs, Dr. Richard Reef from Finance and Administration, Dr. Peggy Glenn from the Foundation and Alumni, and the Mr. Brian Manley from University Relations. And if you haven't ever had a chance to work with this team, you should. They are top notch. We have been working on an environmental scan to try and collect the our community's voice for our new strategic plan. And so I'm here to share a little bit about that with you today. We took a 3-pronged approach. Many of you participated in this. We did a general all-call survey. We did an internal NSU committee focus group, and we did external community town halls. So we had 1,147 respondents to the survey. Over 50% were students. About 33% were faculty and staff. So we had a great employee response. We spoke with 21 different committees with about 180 different participants. We had 4 different listening sessions with the Muskogee community, the Tahlequah community, the Broken Arrow community, and our alumni community, and a total of about 49 participants in those. We want to thank you all very much for taking the time and providing your feedback. From all of that data, and there was a lot of data, if you remember the survey, most of those questions were multi-part questions. And so you all had some great feedback on what we are doing here at NSU that's really great, what we need to work on, and what direction we need to go to remain so critical to our community. And so this is the combined SWOT analysis that from the feedback that you all provided. So the strengths are history, our roots, our affordability, how caring our faculty are, how caring our staff are, the access to education that we provide through our online and flexible curriculum, and the curriculum itself were all consistently mentioned strengths. Our weaknesses, lack of resources, whether they are financial, whether they can be our human, technological. Sometimes we don't have what we need to be as successful as we can be. But what opportunities are out there? We've got the opportunity to increase our access through online and flexible delivery, targeting non-traditional student populations, our workforce solutions. Workforce was mentioned consistently across the board. Experiential learning and the importance of tying our students to the disciplines that they are studying, and the community partnership opportunities. And then threats, the external threats, lack of fiscal resources from our funding agencies, shrinking traditional college-bound populations, increased competition from different universities and from the economy and the workforce itself, and then the perceived declining value of the degree. And so from that, we developed these recommended priorities. So these are your recommended priorities, and these have been presented to Cabinet. Priority number one, we need to ensure educational access and support for our student populations. We need to enhance our workforce connections. We need to ensure our competitiveness by providing high quality, flexible delivery of courses and degrees, foster student retention, and invest in employees and facilities. And these are all fleshed out in a large report that we provided to Cabinet, and we will provide that report public facing on the website. So you'll be able to see more details associated with each of these priorities. But you're probably asking yourself, what are the next steps? What can I do to get involved? So the next steps, we have a larger strategic planning committee, and that committee will be leading most of the charge, but there's plenty of opportunity for you all to get involved. So if you have an interest in working on the new strategic plan, we would love to help or have you help us out. So we'll do a mission, vision, value review. The Cabinet and the divisions will just have priority retreats. We will draft our new strategic goals. And very importantly, we will have a wind down of our current strategic plan and a wind up for our new strategic plan at the spring opening meeting. And so you guys need to be prepared for that. That's going to be a lot of fun. And so thank you all for allowing me to present this data to you today. And this is the team. We're here to help you guys for any planning needs that you have, and we'll be in touch. Thank you, guys. Next, Dr. Jared Freeman.
Good morning, y'all. So the rain hasn't stopped yet, so we're going to go a little extra long. I'm just kidding. They said I only had 20 minutes, which means I have 40. They may have threatened me up here. I don't know what the deal is. Just real quickly, wanted to highlight a few things on the retention initiative piece. Dr. Turner already talked a lot about all of the process that went in to develop these. But one of the major things is the letter that he sent really highlighted all of the details of the process we went through, all the faculty, staff, and students that we talked with, and all the initiatives that we developed. Overall, there were 63 initiatives that were laid out. We narrowed those down to the 16 committees that Dr. Turner had mentioned, and they did a lot of work and information on each of those initiatives. And so if you go online, you can actually, I know that he put the link on his page up there, but there's actually the report from every single one of those committees. And so you can go on and see those reports, all the information that they gathered, the steps that they're taking to, I don't know if resolve, but move us forward with each of those initiatives. And then the plan is that those committees will continue to supply updates on each of those initiatives on the site. So please check out the site and see kind of the progress, the things in the work, that effort that has been put in on each of those initiatives. For a little teaser for folks that are new, just a real quick update on those charges. Charge 1 was to update, redesign, and change the NSU website. Charge 2 is develop and publish course sequences. Charge 3 was general education sequences would be available and completed in an all online format, and how many programs, undergraduate programs, we had to be completed online. Charge 4 was growth of the faculty mentorship model. Charge 5 was ensuring that ongoing facility needs are identified and functioning and of the work order system. Charge 6 was the Blackboard shells to ensure format and functionality are consistent. Charge 7, internship and research opportunities with every major. Charge 8, implementing midterm grades for all students in all courses. Charge 9, student contact information on file is current and reviewed periodically. Charge 10, online library access is enhanced and improved. Charge 11, access to and awareness of academic support services on all 3 campuses. Charge 12, comprehensive student support services for online students on all the branch campuses. Charge 13, provide customer service training of the identifying and supporting at-risk students. Charge 14 was evaluate university strategies for its effectiveness. Charge 15, increase course evaluation participation rates and ensure course evaluations are effective tool for continuous improvement. And lastly, charge 16 was transfer student orientation on all 3 campuses. So again, these are all encompassing. I mean, a lot of areas are touched by all of these initiatives. Almost every single one of our committees was cross-divisional people bringing folks together to try to help move us forward. And so again, please check out the website, ask questions. Dr. Larson has really kind of been the one that has managed kind of the process, the development of these things, the gathering of information. And so if you ever have questions about those initiatives, it tells you who was involved in each of the initiatives on their report. But easily enough, you can talk to Dr. Larson and she can give you feedback and updates on each of those initiatives. So thank you to everyone that was involved in all of that and all the work that's put together. Now, most of those reports were developed over the summer. So much of that work is going to be happening this year. So you're not going to see this immediate impact from some of those initiatives, but all of it is moving. You should see that impact this year as we start to really move forward with a lot of those pieces. Next here is recruitment. Just wanted to highlight a few folks or a few pieces on the recruitment side. We've really had a lot of effort on kind of the first time, full-time piece. We've really tried to diversify events and have more events. We've also are working to serve new populations. We've been working on that initiative this last year, and we have one more year of that, really trying to focus on new and different populations that we would be reaching out to. This last year in the budget process, we've tried to implement new recruitment initiatives from a multicultural perspective, but specifically our Hispanic, because we know that population is growing significantly in the area. So there is going to be a new Hispanic recruiter that we'll have in place this coming year. So we should be posting and searching for that position relatively soon. But again, a broad swath of things that we're trying to do. We spent a lot of time, this is really a relationship with academic affairs and student affairs, but really trying to figure out our transfer and concurrent initiatives. And we put together pretty extensive reports on all those pieces, who is responsible for what, how we do that to really improve our effectiveness and efficiencies within our recruitment processes. Because oftentimes we operate within our little domains that we control and impact. But the reality of it is that we all impact one another very significantly. And so without that time really sitting down to figure out who's doing what and how all those pieces play out, we may not have the most efficient and effective system. And so continuing to try to manage through those processes. And then the next up is the workforce development update. Just wanted to highlight a few of this. And this is really, Dr. Turner kind of segued in for this, but this is really that just-in-time education that he's really talking about from that perspective. And so the workforce initiatives, we've been spending this last year developing the website, developing our infrastructures and processes, because as an institution, we're not built for this just-in-time education. It's not how we have functioned previously. And so we've really tried to rework all of our process from admission to admittance, to getting them enrolled, to paying bills, and working with companies and businesses and all these students, and working through what that looks like and how we function with that. We've had a number of opportunities in this last year. I think we served over 200 workforce students over the summer. We're continuously growing those initiatives. Dr. Turner kind of highlighted this a little bit, but OSHRI has had a significant push for workforce. I believe that'll probably be a major element in their strategic plan that they're going to be putting out. And so there's going to be a lot of movement on this front, from not only from an NSU perspective, from a state perspective. And so Dr. Williams she was the co-chair, but now she is the chair for the workforce initiatives and is really the person that's navigating a lot of this. And there's a website that you can go to online as well. I didn't put the link up there, but it's basically it's offices.nsuok.edu/workforce development. So please check that out as well. It talks about the badging process. You can see up there, we have detailed out how to do badges. You can do non-credit badges. You can do credit badges. You can do badges from some of our specific areas. So check that out. Think about opportunities for you to be thinking about badging. We've also talked a lot about this from a credit, non-credit perspective. And we already had a very extensive continuing education program, which was focused predominantly on the non-credit side of the house. And so this last year, and what we've really been focusing on is the credit side of workforce development. So that's where a lot of this effort is at. And how do we function? How do we do these things more effectively? And really working on our relationship with businesses. How do we meet their needs? And so on the website, you're going to see these three words: flexibility, affordability, and quality. How do we match those things? Dr. Turner mentioned this, but there's a lot of nonprofit companies that are trying to get in on this workforce stuff, but they don't have our credentials, they don't have our quality. And so what we're trying to figure out is that how do we offer our quality at the way that they do it through an Amazon shopping perspective? How do we make it quick? How do we make it easy for them to get their employees through these training programs, educating them with our expertise that we have that they can't get elsewhere? And lastly, that's I think a lot of folks sometimes are like, well, what is this workforce development about? This is really tapping into people and resources that we normally would have not been able to get to. And so we do really hope that this is going to drive our enrollment. We see this as a pathway for people to enter the institution, because oftentimes people in businesses who want training, education, they may not see four-year institutions as that pathway. And so we're really trying to highlight that you can get all of those things through us, and then figuring out how do we tap them into then what we really is our bread and butter, which is our credit programs. And so how do we get them in where they're just dabbling in a few classes? Maybe that's in a badge, or it could be where they're going to be getting a certificate, micro-credentialing, then moving into our academic programs. And so this year we also have invested in getting a success coach. It's going to work with all of those workforce development students and tapping them into our credit programs. And ultimately, this is all an emphasis on, one, these great connections with the businesses, but driving our enrollment up through new and different pathways that's going to help impact the institution in a positive way. So the last thing on there is the enrollment. One of these things is that we've watched how the enrollment trends have worked this whole year. It's been rough as we've navigated through the pandemic and seen its impact on enrollment. Dr. Turner highlighted this 9 million difference from 2016 and the impact that would have on the budget. Right now, we are sitting as of Monday at -6% overall enrollment. And so as you look at that, there are a lot of positives. There's some neat things that are going on, and we have worked tirelessly. There's There's been a lot of movement to try to make some things happen. But the two areas that I would say are the biggest highlights and focus are really transfers and the retention of our upper class students. We have seen a significant increase in the retention of our freshman and sophomore students, but we're still struggling in the junior and senior areas of retention. And if you are folks that are really into the Chronicle of Higher Education, there's a big report that just came out that talks heavily about this current generation of students is carrying with them a significant amount of baggage with regards to like, how do they be engaged? How do they, whether that's just communicating and talking to folks, they don't want to ask questions. They don't really want to really step out there. There's a whole lot of anxiety and unsureness of like, how does that function and operate? And so for me, as I look at that, I think the most important thing is that we have to be creative. We have to find new and different ways to meet them where they're at. We know that they don't want to use the phone. We know they like text, but that may not be as simple, but they want quick and easy. And they feel concerned about what it means to step out there and ask those questions. And so I think as we work with our students this year, whether they're returning or current students, it's figuring out new and different ways to reach them where they're at and help them to continue on and move forward. And I think this old mentality of thinking that they're just going to figure it all out on their own is not going to work. We've got to figure out how do we reach out to them and help them succeed. And so again, that's a really important piece, is that this last week, we have really 2 weeks, but this week right now is the important time. We know that we're seeing a massive influx of transfer students going through advising right now, but we need to reach out to more folks who are trying to figure out maybe last few little pieces of financial information. And so if you're talking to anyone and you're not really sure how to help them, reach out to me. I would love to try to help figure out anything we can do to help some of these students jump over that hump or whatever barrier is in front of them to be successful. The last one here is the student affairs update. Just wanted to give a few pieces. I think Christy is going to be giving some extensive facilities updates, but one of the things that we wanted to mention is that in this next year, there will be admin moves from the VPs and the president's office moving to seminary, and that will open up some of those spaces. And the plan is to return some of those student service functions back into the admin building. So over the next year or so, we're going to be working through some of those changes, and just wanted to highlight some of those moves as we work through a lot of the closing of some of these big renovation projects that Dr. Turner mentioned. And then we have the student service functions that we're moving there. We also have, Dr. Turner mentioned the free speech changes and updates. We have Title IX as well. So the free speech piece, around a couple years ago, there was this elimination of time and place from a free speech perspective. So free speech was opened up extensively. So we adjusted our policies and procedures accordingly. And in this last year, they just passed a new bill where there needs to be training for free speech. And I know you all love mandatory training, but that has not been developed yet. They're working on what that looks like. And once they finish the development of that, and when I say they, I'm talking about the state, but really I believe it's going through OSHRI, who's going to be developing the training and rolling that out. We don't know what that, legislators are on the committee to develop it. So I'm sure there will be no weirdness or anything with what this training will look like. But once they develop that, we will be responsible for ensuring that all of our employees go through that training. We'll have to report that back to the state. So just giving you a heads up that there may be some really awesome, exciting training on free speech coming soon. And lastly, on Title IX, we've spent a lot of time trying to get a lot of information out there to the students and faculty on the processes. But we also know that the federal government is going to be implementing new changes to Title IX very soon. I don't know exactly what that timeline looks like. I know that the initial drafts have hit the street and they should be rolling out relatively soon. So you will see adjustments as those come. So be on the lookout for changes as they're coming forward. Just wanted to highlight the homecoming is September 19th to the 24th. So please mark your calendars for that. There will be a large number of events and ways for you to be engaged and involved in our alumni and with our students. And then the NSU app, just wanted to again highlight this, is that last year we rolled out the NSU app for our students. And it was kind of a soft rollout. We were trying to get all the information on there, get them ready to use it. And the bulk of our users are our current freshmen. They're the ones who have been acculturated to how it works, how it functions and operates. The number one place that they go look is what is going to be offered on campus for food. So that's the number one thing that they're using it for. But there are a lot of other ways that they can access stuff really by the device in their hand. And so what we've really done is advance that. The whole goal was at the end of this was to diminish the amount of emails that they were going to be receiving. So this year, in the next few weeks, we're actually going to be removing access for a lot of individual users to be able to send campus emails out. We are getting ready to approve the final folks who will still be able to send emails out to campus. But hopefully for all the faculty and staff in the room as well, you should get less emails about all the different things that are going on around campus. And so the app is going to be huge. So please download the app. It's NSU. Okay. Download the app, check it out. If you have thoughts or suggestions, please let us know. Again, Dr. Larson is the one who's really been kind of really the back-end user of the site. She can help improve things, add tiles and different things so you can look at it. And it's super friendly to our current generation of students and how they function and operate on their phones. Real quickly, I wanted to highlight a few things that are going on from mostly in the UC here, but Sushi is a new sushi establishment that's going to be in, people are like, is that a misspell? That is the name of the company. But they are going to be in the underground downstairs. And so they'll have fried rice and they'll have sushi, obviously. I know. But I'm blanking on the bowls that they're going to have, the name of them. Ramen, the ramen bowls. Yes. All that stuff that's really cool in the big cities. It's going to be there. Clearly, you can tell I've fully invested. But the other thing is that for those of you that haven't noticed, the START location in town has shut down. But we're going to be creating a new esports lounge in the UC downstairs in the basement. It'll be right there near the mailroom and the copy zone. You're also going to see Flows reestablished in Wilson Hall. That should open up next week, I believe, is its first week. So that's exciting as well. So. And the last thing on my list here is just report a concern, just as a reminder for your students and for you as faculty and staff. You're welcome to fill out any sort of concerns or issues that you feel like need to be addressed on here. But really, it's meant for the students predominantly. But if you have stuff that you're concerned about or they're concerned about, send them there. That's where they can fill in information and we ensure it gets to the appropriate parties on our campus. And as we have went through these last couple of years, that's been used more than it ever has. But we really can process any concern through that site. And so it's an easy way to kind of push our students through. The students are all here. We had rookie bridge camps, 2 of them last week. We now have Welcome Week as it started yesterday. So it's an exciting time to see all the students on campus. There's a lot of energy. We'll be doing the coin walk here when we finish. But next up is Christy Lansell.
Good morning. I know we've already had a lot of information presented, so I hope I can keep your attention for just a little while longer. Peggy, Danny, everyone in the audience, I'm not going to sing. If I was, however, it would be to an Olivia Newton-John song, which I probably know every word by heart to every one of her songs. I also must add, so do my parents, because I made them listen to it for 3 days straight on our way back from California to Oklahoma. So, I'd like to start my presentation with some slides and some updates from our capital projects team. It's been a very busy summer. Make sure I can work the clicker first. It's been a very busy summer, and as you all know, shipping, materials, supplies, and equipment delays have definitely made for more interesting and challenging times in our areas. First off, okay. our clock tower. We are finally wrapping up the final phase of the exterior work funded by the Cherokee Nation $4 million donation. The new paint and the historically accurate wood work have brought our clock tower back to life. And we are also finishing up some punch list items and very hopeful that the scaffolding will be down soon. This just gives you a look into what our higher education emergency relief funds have allowed us to make a lot of changes. And as you were able to make significant improvements to our air quality and loggia. We actually installed 4 new DOAS or direct air exchange units and installed those on top of loggia buildings. There are 4 of those units and they are all mounted on the loggia dorm roofs. These units and the replacement of the old original deteriorated pipe from the late 50s and early 60s will reduce the humidity in the building and help the existing HVAC units maintain a more comfortable temperature for our students. Also part of that project, we also replaced the domestic water lines to help reduce the leaking and scale buildup along with all the new HVAC piping. And additionally, we installed up-to-date fire safety compliant insulation in the chaseway of all the old wall spaces. And this will prevent a lot of leaking, drips, condensation, and also help with the humidity. Zach Henley and his group have worked countless hours in getting this project ready for move-in this last week. We have finished South and Southwest, and we are also currently working on North and Northwest, and those will be finished probably before the end of this month. The new air structure, the dome, as you can see, there's no Band-Aids or patches on the new air structure. And this new air structure has been inflated with new HVAC equipment and a backup generator for a new climate controlled facility for student athletes. Ball field lights. This was made partly possible by a private donation. The light pole foundations are ongoing and the light poles are scheduled to arrive in mid-August. However, with the nationwide shortage that is affecting our timeline, we may not be able to receive the transformers. Harold and his team are looking for alternative solutions to procure the the transformers. Otherwise, this could be next February before they arrive. The new pedestrian-friendly concrete walking and bicycle path is installed with removable bollards, which will allow emergency vehicles access when needed. This is a big step forward for our student safety, and it's dramatically changed the appearance along the space. A big thank you to the City of Tahlequah, former Mayor Jason Nichols, and Mayor Catron for their partnerships in making this project possible. Wilson Hall classrooms. Wow, the furniture we ordered 8 months ago has finally arrived. It arrived last week. Our teams have been installing around the clock, nights and the weekend, to get it ready for this fall semester. Finally, COLA and faculty administration are able to truly call this beautiful building home. We're really excited about this project. The Center for Tribal Studies will soon have a more visible space on campus. The new student space on the ground floor of the UC will allow better accessibility for our students. And now I'd like to provide a list of our prioritized projects for this coming year. HVAC boilers, and let me bring to the attention that these projects are in queue, and as always, with our student comfort and safety in mind, those are our biggest priorities. The HVAC and boilers, these projects will include the event center. There will be an HVAC replacement, the Bagley Hall boiler, which will include all new piping and tie-ins. Fine Arts Annex will also get piping extension, and the JVL library will. The boiler will also be replaced. Our second priority is the Wilson Hall Bridge. And we will replace the temporary structure that's west of Wilson Hall. Don't know if you guys have been over there, but walking on those steel ties is kind of dangerous. And also 3 and 4 of our priorities are roof replacements, and those will include the Greg Wadley Health and Science Building, which we will replace the mechanical roof over the lab spaces. The physical plant and the seminary hall flat roofs will also be replaced. Our other priorities include student engagement renovation, which will be down in the UC basement. And we will focus on the Jazz Lab stormwater solution back behind Vidalia's in the Jazz Lab. Currently, as it rains, that water kind of runs into those spaces. Then we will also be working on the Town Branch Creek, the retaining wall. We will continue that work as needed every year to keep it free from any kind of erosion and debris. And then lastly, our case building repainting study. We will be bringing some folks in to make some recommendations to get rid of that hot pink on the walls. All right, more fun stuff, but I do want to bring to everybody's attention again, as we reported in last year's meeting, the multi-factor authentication, or MFA, is coming to NSU. This is the same technology that most of us are already using for any of our banking or any kind of online services, which require you to use a separate source for your logon. This necessary technology will be implemented into our single sign-on solution, which currently provides access right now with 1Password to over 32 distinct NSU systems. Our ITS team have continued training exercises also in the form of simulated phishing attacks. Our last exercise came from Facebook, which showed about a 12.8% click rate. This is compared to our last year's click rate on the Disney phishing exercise, which had a 14.2% click rate. We're getting better, but so are the crooks. And the terrorists are still out there using their phishing schemes to try to get into our systems. Phishing accounts for over 80% of reported security incidents. So please continue to be on guard. Watch out for anything fishy. Wi-Fi upgrades. ITS has installed over 900 new access points in student housing alone. Campus buildings, including Broken Arrow and Muskogee, are being upgraded this fall. At the end of this project, we will have installed over 1,400 access points and nearly 250 network switches, along with increasing our outdoor Wi-Fi access. This will create a better wireless experience for all of our NSU community. Data center. Several key components of the data center are getting new hardware. We will also, a new backup system will also be implemented. This backup technology and strategy are critical to mitigate any future cybersecurity incursions also. Enterprise. Our ITS overall logged nearly 60,000 hours on tickets and projects this last year. They completed over 29 major projects during fiscal year 22, including connecting new systems to NSU to our ecosystem. These systems also include Jagger, Empyrean, and the NSU mobile app. The team closed over 10,000 tickets and handled almost as many incoming service desk calls. And the team also replaced 750 computers last year, as well as working with facilities. And I can't stress this enough. These were huge projects. Steve Ford, Richard, your team, and they oversaw all of the infrastructure in AV, which is audio video fixtures, which were installed within Wilson Hall and the seminary projects, both major projects. So mark your calendars. Open enrollment, as you can see, for active employees will be October 17th through October 31st, or retirees November 1st through December 7th. I have to give thanks to Phyllis, Jean, and again, IT, They loaded all of our 2022 information and our benefit elections into the Empyrean system, which means we are all, again, able to provide a passive enrollment. That means if you're happy with your benefits, you do nothing. We are keeping with our same providers for all of our active employees. The only change this year was to our retirees. We're shifting them to FBA also. We also have a new consultant for the Oki group. And really, I want to point out, President Turner mentioned earlier about our health insurance. We work hard with our consortium group, which is called Oki. That's an Oklahoma consortium with now 12 different institutions. We work hard to keep our insurance costs down. In January, the cost of employee insurance goes up to $851.83, which is a 2.83% increase over last year. I know that sounds like a lot, but industry-wide, we were looking at 7 to 8%. So a lot of hard work's went into keeping those costs down. So if you take the $851.83, multiply that out by 12 months, that's over $10,000 for each one of our 800 full-time employees that we pay. While many institutions have decided to go to what they consider a defined contribution, which they only pay a portion, maybe up to $300 a month, NSU remains committed to pay 100% for all of our full-time employees. And again, we know there's much information provided here so that you can make the best benefit decisions for you and your family. There'll be a lot more information going out. We had a lot of success with our last year's benefit Zoom meetings. So we will be scheduling more Zoom meetings this year to provide employees and retirees with an overview of all their benefits. So please watch out for any email from HR as those dates haven't been confirmed yet for those sessions. Again, for the last several years, NSU benefits have been benefited from on-site health checkups from Catapult. We will be doing those again this year. You'll need to schedule an appointment. Only 25 employees can be seen per day. All full-time employees and their benefits over 18 are eligible to participate in this benefit. Employees unable to secure an appointment will be able to utilize the Catapult's virtual checkup service. So please again, watch for communication for those times coming forward from HR. Also, as a last reminder, your employee evaluations are due October 1st. The reminders and instructions will be sent out soon. And want to give a shout out again. We're working on last year's audit, but once again, we had a clean audit thanks to Tanya Massey, Shelley, Susan, and other people from our area. So we're really happy about that. I want to thank everybody for your time. Please let me welcome Dan Mayberry to the stage.
Thank you all so much. I was just looking at my watch a few minutes ago, and this is the first time that we've had a little time here. You know, and I've got up to speak. I don't know what Annika's done to Dr. Freeman to make that happen, but thank you. Thank you on behalf of everyone. Thank you very much, Annika. As mentioned earlier, we've been working very hard over the summer with our retention priorities. And one of those being a new design update for the website. And so we do have a few things to show you all today, what will be coming in the very near future with the website. This section here in the middle is called a hero carousel. When you all know that on our website right now, once you get beyond the main page, we have a very small band of a photo that's usually the clock tower. In research that we have done, we know that we need to show more pictures within our website, have not only our buildings, but also people within that. So here we have established a wide carousel, and these photos will rotate through. You'll be able to click through them. They'll also be on a timer, but we've made sure that every update that we are looking at for our website meets all of our accessibility requirements. Moving on here, in order to eliminate clicks, so people have to click on future student, then they click on financial aid, then they click on etc. in order to find information. We are adding some drop-down menus here off of the home page. So if you go up to future students, you're then going to be able to select another option in order to eliminate clicks and needless time and frustration, frankly, with the website. Also, as you're scrolling down on the website, we will now have a menu here, what is referred to as a sticky menu. This will follow you as you scroll down. So at any moment, you can move your mouse, find one of these menu items here, and then also have that active drop down. What's not shown here is over on this side, we will also have the search feature as well. This will be a really nice feature as we move forward here. Additionally, we have a lot of other design elements that your content managers will be able to implement within the website as you all are organizing content within your areas. Just a reminder, we have over 50 content managers at the institution, and each and every one of your areas has a content manager that you can work directly with. However, if you need something in a pinch, your content manager is tied up, please call my office. We've got two amazing folks that will work very closely with you in Brian Manley and Greg Schmidt. These folks will help meet your website needs as we move forward. But this is one of the new design elements. Here is another design element. Amongst these, we're also looking at things that will span the entire width of the web page. And so it will increase the usable space. Additional elements here. We are also updating the campus calendar. Currently, we are utilizing a third-party vendor called Helios. When you click on the campus calendar, while it's nice, it does its job, but it does bring you outside of the current software. This new campus calendar is built within our CMS, and we're going to be able to have various events pop up here. There's going to be a lot of opportunity for information. You can click within the event, bring up other photos, addresses. There's even a RSVP function within this calendaring process. Over here, you're going to see a tags. This is where you're going to be able to filter which calendar or calendars you want to see at any given time. And then you have the choice as the end user, whether you see the version that I just showed you all, or a traditional calendar, which we're showing here. Your staff, your content managers, if you all work with them and you say, you know what, I really want my specific calendar to show up on my content pages, what we have, we'll be able to take the coding, remove everybody else's calendar option from it, and just display your information. For example, if the alumni office wants a calendar, we can place that calendar on their pages, and they don't have to worry about any other events showing up. This calendar will automatically populate with events. Even if the event is 6 months down the road, that event will be there. And then when the event is over, it will automatically be removed from the website. A few other notable website items that you all helped us with tremendously this past year is we have 611 what we consider forward-facing or top-level pages within the institution. Of those, you all have updated content on 505 of those. That's outstanding work. We still have a little way to go, absolutely, but we are making progress in making sure that our content is being renewed and revised. We have also removed 100% of all the duplicated web pages, things that were out there, pages that honestly may have been missed in the past. They weren't updated well because we may have updated page A, but never got to page B, C, etc. And so we've eliminated all those. Again, in looking at our SEO scores, this is our search engine scores and how we rank ourselves within Google. We have a 95.4% average across all 11 domains. This is, again, due to a lot of hard work in making sure that our keywords and our descriptions and everything are up to date. In terms of accessibility, you see that score. This score was as of a week ago at about 83%. We found that there was some odd or some old coding that was within some of our pages. We've removed that coding and now we're in the mid-90s as well. So we're very excited about the progress of the website. In terms of digital marketing efforts, you can see here when we talk about digital marketing, what all this means. Search engine marketing, Google AdWords, social media, etc. Many of these ads are all based upon impressions, meaning how many times we can display an advertisement to the public. So here's a little bit of information from the graduate college. Amongst our competitors, we own 34% of the market share, which means that our graduate college ads show up 34% of the time in a relevant search compared to any other institution that is our competitor. This rose from 31% last year. In terms of top of the page, it's kind of like above the fold in the newspaper. These are the things that are I'd say within the top 10 positions in paid advertisements when you do a Google search. We're there 77% of the time when it comes to the graduate college compared to 71% where we were before. And the absolute top of the page, this means the #1 spot when you search the graduate college offerings, the #1 position, we host that position 46% of the time. So that has a lot to do with, again, those keywords, those descriptions, everything that goes into building those impression shares. Here are our undergraduate numbers. Our impression share there is 36%. We're at the top of the page, meaning above the fold, 95% of the time in a relevant search. And then lastly, we are absolutely the #1 ad that's delivered 87% of the time. Again, very exciting about that increase over this past year. In terms of digital impressions, many of you will say, well, how many impressions are we delivering? In what manner when it comes to digital ads? Well, here's various mediums in which those ads are being delivered. But the point here is that this last year, we served over 29 million impressions to prospective students and to their families over this past year. Our click-through rates. Click-through rates are when they look at an ad and they click on that ad, and that ad then takes them to our website, or it takes them to a page where they can fill out a request to get more information from the institution. You only click on those ads that you're interested in or are attracted to, or it's got that information that just compels you to go and dive deeper. What I'm sharing with you all here is that you could see our specific rates here in the education sector. The important thing that I want to share again is that NSU's ads meet or exceed the educational sector click-through rates for this digital advertisement. Your designers, your copywriters are doing an outstanding job creating attractive ads that are being displayed on the internet. Some additional notable marketing efforts. I'm going to point out our newspaper ads here. Folks, newspaper is not dead. This not only in print form, but also online. We have ads running in 7 newspapers every month. We spend nearly $50,000 annually in newspaper ads. We have papers that we regular advertising in Arkansas, here in Oklahoma. We've got papers that are Spanish speaking only. So we are really trying to make sure that NSU puts its best foot forward. Then we also have some great relationships with some magazines. Here's 3 magazines that ran an ad for us this past year. And just a note, we were the only institution of higher education in Oklahoma that made it into these publications last year. We also do commercial work. This coming fall, you're going to see NSU commercials represented in these television stations and in these very specific news programs and television programs. We're very excited about that. This Como 2 program is on Dish Network. We have learned through a very in-depth study that this is the program of choice, if you will, for those Hispanic families in the Tulsa market. They were very, very adamant that we make sure that we are advertising here in this program. Additionally, you all have heard Dr. Turner over the last several years tell us that the world needs more kindness and to be kind to one another. So we have partnered with ULIFT, which is a program that's offering a kindness wall. This kindness wall project provides a monitor. It provides the software where our students and teachers in schools here in Oklahoma and across the country can leave anonymous messages to one another that are uplifting. Those messages then get vetted by the principal or a faculty member at the school, and then they're posted within the schools. We are the exclusive sponsor in the state of Oklahoma of the Kindness Wall here. We're the only institution that will have our advertisements and branding within these walls. We currently have well over 60 schools and school districts that are signed up to participate in this kindness program. Again, very, very excited. And you can see some of the schools and districts that we're working with today. On the horizon, over by the Willis lot, we have this large grassy knoll, this hill that's there. And we've been looking for an opportunity for the past several years to provide our students, our guests, with a new gathering space, a new photo opportunity, one that may complement all of the photos that are taken right there at the town branch. So we're looking at installing 10-foot tall stainless steel letters with a nice walking area, nice lights that are lifted up to really highlight those letters, to provide our students, our faculty, our community with another gathering space and a photo opportunity to, again, continue to brand the institution. And I want to say special thanks here to Dr. Turner. We had really budgeted quite a bit of our capital projects funding for this, and we were able to get a donor. And so again, thank you, Dr. Turner, for your hard work and on that donor opportunity. We have various services that we offer within the division, but I want to just point out here in our earned media services, these are stories and things that we write within the division, but we do that with your help. A year ago, you all submitted 11 story ideas, things that are happening amongst your divisions, amongst your areas. This past year, that number went to 41. We pitch ideas constantly to news media outlets. This year, they picked up 52 of those and ran stories. We had over 150 press releases that we sent out, again, based upon things that you all are doing to help tell the NSU story. And then OSHRI brings forward every day a roundup of all the relevant news items and shares that amongst the institutions. We had over 190 mentions in that program. Again, very, very excited about what's happening here to help tell the NSU story. With that, you all have requested nearly 1,500 design elements. We've created 76 billboards. There has been nearly 460 requests for licensed material. This means that people are out there printing t-shirts, buying all kinds of swag, and these are the types of things that have to come through our office to make sure that all of our branding, all of our logos are being utilized appropriately. And then on our website through SmugMug, we have a repository of all the photos and videos that have been taken over the past few years. We have now tagged and logged over 108,000 photos for you all to use across campus. And so if you all would like to have access to that, you can click through the photography website, but then you can also just reach out to us and we'll make sure that you have access to the photos you need. We also have won several awards over this past year. Our writers are outstanding. We have an amazing imprints magazine that our alumni and our foundation run. We had an opportunity to write an article there about lives that are being changed through the Oklahoma College of Optometry. This was a grand award winner due to its feature writing. We also have seen awards in many of our Giphies. And so these are stickers, things that you might see on the internet through Snapchat and other social media pieces. And so again, very excited. We can offer you all many of these things, these stickers, these various social media elements on any of the events that you all are planning, whether you're having a speaker to campus or you're hosting a recruitment event, whatever that looks like, we can work with you to design something that will just enhance your event. We also have a few upcoming workshops this year. We are going to bring in, again, some information about graphic standards, accessibility, and how to increase our earned media across campus. All right, thank you all very much. I think I effectively used the rest of Dr. Freeman's time. Appreciate that again, Annika, for whipping him into shape. At this point, we'll bring Dr. Turner back to stage.
You guys are gonna owe us some time because we're about to finish. And which gets us outside. It looks like we're gonna have a wonderful coin walk at 11 o'clock. So you get a bathroom break, but I want to go back to this. We all know what this means. We've lived it. It was kind of forced on us and it made the industry change. But I don't have here pictures of restaurants that also added curbside service. It was a wonderful tool. They changed their apps. They changed everything. We probably haven't changed enough. And the we means higher ed, but it also means NSU. So this year, I really want the theme to be provide curbside service. Or you could spread it out and say, are we providing higher ed, is NSU providing the equivalent of curbside service? But I think we should be asking ourselves with each interaction, is this the equivalent of curbside service that's expected in 2022? So I hope that as you have discussions later today in the colleges and tomorrow in optometry, or if you're in the bursar's office, or if you're in the president's office, or if you're a student conduct or discipline, if you're an advisor, are you providing curbside service? We can do it, and we need to do it now. I love this statement. This is not an endorsement of a politician. This is a common sense way to say something that's important in Oklahoma. We must give Oklahoma families the opportunity to thrive and prosper. We must give all Oklahomans the tools necessary to pursue the American dream. And then we must get out of the way. Who said that? Do you like that? I mean, seriously, isn't it about the American dream? Brad Henry. So another call to action, or at least a reminder, a degree from Northeastern State University gives our students the opportunity to thrive and prosper. I am a product of a public regional university. I'm a product of Oklahoma's research institution. All of my education came from public institutions in Oklahoma. So I know I'm living, my life is as an example of the ability to thrive and prosper because of education. I wouldn't be here today. None of us would be really without a good education. So let's let our students thrive and prosper. Let's work to increase our enrollment and to increase the number of persons with the degrees. It is our promise, it's our vow, it's our mission, and let's make it happen. Thank you. Let's have a great fall. We'll see you at the coin walk in 13 minutes.